Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com. Today we're going to make homemade ice cream sandwiches, which consist of 2 layers of a moist, thin chocolate cake, and then you can put your favorite ice cream in between. What I like about making homemade ice cream sandwiches, one is they're really very easy to make, and 2, you get to choose what kind of ice cream you want to use for your ice cream sandwiches. So, really easy to make. First, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius. And then you will need a baking pan. This is 10 by 15, which is 10 by 15 inches, which is 25 by 38 centimeters with about a 1-inch high here, about 2.5 centimeters. And then line your pan with a piece of foil and have a bit of an overlap so that way you can easily lift your cake out of the pan. So then what I like to do is lightly butter my pan, and I'm just using some melted butter because that way our cake will really easily release from the foil. Okay. That's good. Now this is such an easy cake to make. It's kind of like a dump cake. You're just going to dump everything in. So what we're going to start with is a 1/2 cup, that's 113 grams of melted butter. And you can use salted or unsalted, your choice. And then I'm going to add a 1/2 cup, 100 grams of granulated white sugar. And I'm just going to use a wire whisk and whisk those 2 together. And then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract for flavoring. And then 1 large egg. Have your egg at room temperature and make sure you whisk it right away because your butter may be a little warm and we don't want that egg to cook. And then you will add a 1/2 cup, 65 grams of all-purpose flour. You may know that as plain flour. And 1/4 teaspoon of salt. If you use salted butter, probably just leave out that salt. And then, of course, we're making a chocolate cake, so we're going to use a 1/4 cup, that's 25 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder. Now, in this one, you can use Dutch processed cocoa powder or just, regular unsweetened, either one. And I'm sifting it because I find cocoa powder always has lumps. I'll just get rid of those. And then we're going to mix that together. I mean, how simple is it? And what I like about this cake is it's quite soft, and it will stay soft even in the freezer. And these taste remarkably similar to the ones, the commercially made. Okay, and that is it. So now we're just going to spread that into our pan. So you can see this is a lot like a brownie batter, a cocoa brownie. Okay, looks good. As you can see, it's not a lot of batter because we want a very thin, as you know, ice cream sandwiches, the cake part is not really thick, it's quite thin. So just spread it out. You can use the back of a spoon. I'm using an offset spatula here. Try to make it as even as you can. Get in the corners. Yeah, looks about right. Always make sure you run it back and forth because I don't know about you, but there always is a tendency to have more batter in the center of the pan than in the corners. We want to make this as even as possible. So now, We're going to bake this. Now, everyone's oven is a little different. I find my oven 7 to 8 minutes because we don't want to overbake this cake. If you do, it tends to crack, which, I mean, your ice cream sandwiches will still taste good, but they just, crack a bit. So what you want to look for is it's just set, but it's still quite soft on top. Okay, our chocolate cake is now done. As you can see, set, but still, when I feel it's still soft. And sometimes you just start to see it pull away from the edges. So now, just put it on a wire rack and let your cake cool completely in the pan. And when we come back, we will assemble our ice cream sandwiches. So now we're about ready to assemble our ice cream sandwiches. First, you will, in a bowl, put about 4 cups, which is 2 pints or about a liter of your favorite ice cream. You can use homemade, store-bought, any flavor. I'm actually using a kind of a caramel vanilla swirl thing type, and because I think caramel, vanilla, and chocolate, what could be better than that? So what we want to do is soften this a bit. So you can just leave it out, or you could put it in your mixer with the paddle attachment and just beat it just a little to soften it. So I'm going to leave that. So now for our cake, it's nice and cold. It's cooled off. So now you can just simply lift it. And then I'm going to put it back because we have, obviously, well, you could serve them right away. I prefer to make them and then put them in the freezer so that ice cream has time to harden again. So I take my baking pan and then just line it with some plastic wrap. So then we can just fold it, easy to transport it into our freezer. Whoop. And then, so our cake, just peel back the foil, like so, and then just cut it. You can use like the sharp knife, serrated knife, whatever you want, and we'll just kind of, I mean, you can get your ruler out, but I'm going to just eyeball this. Hopefully I'm about half. And then I'm going to take a spatula or just a knife and then just run it. Hopefully this will not crack on me if I baked it. So what we want, obviously you want this as the top part of your cake. So what I'm going to do is gently lift and turn it, whoop, upside down. Whoop, it did crack a bit. That's okay. Just, we'll have that as the bottom part of our ice cream sandwich. And then, you can just kind of put it together like so. And then this will be our top. So I'm going to check that ice cream. I may have to leave it just a little. Yes, it's still. I'm going to leave this just a couple more minutes to soften enough so we can spread it out. And when we come back, we'll finish them off. Okay, so that's about right, I think. We'll see. So just spread it out on top of your cake there. Now, if you'd like to make it thicker, thinner, I mean, this is up to you how much ice cream you want to put on your sandwiches. And then I'm just the back of a spoon or an offset spatula, just kind of press it out almost to the edge. Leave a little bit because when you put the top cake, the other cake on top, it does kind of squish it down a bit. But you know what? After it freezes, we can always trim up the edges if some of the, because usually I find that some of the ice cream does kind of go out the sides at the beginning when it freezes, so we can just trim up our edges. Okay, just kind of get it even So we will press our cake down. Okay, and now hopefully I can do this right. So we have there we go. Top. Again, you want the top of the cake facing up, and just gently press down to even it out. And wrap it up like so. And so I'm going to put this into the freezer. Now, you probably want at least a couple hours, or you actually can leave these in the freezer for like, a week or so. So when we come back, we will cut our sandwiches and try one. So now I let this get nice and frozen. Like I said, probably 4 hours or overnight, and then just peel back. Now, as you can see, some of the ice cream did kind of go. So what I can just do is take a sharp knife and just even that like so. And keep those kind of cook's treat and that little bit of ice cream. And I mean, go around and just clean it up. And then really, you can cut this big, small, whatever you want. So I think I'll just use a sharp knife or a serrated knife. Let's cut down. And then, so what should we do here? Go this way, and I find I get about 8 ice cream sandwiches out of this. As you can see, this is how I do it. You can do it however you want. And there we go. Oh, I mean, does that not look every bit as good as what you buy? I mean, your kids will love these. So I'm going to try a little bit. That is so tasty. The chocolate cake stays soft, and it really does. Well, I think it tastes better than commercially made, but every bit is good. And then, of course, I like the fact that I get to choose what kind of ice cream I want. So what you can do is what I like to do is make them up ahead of time. Say you're going to have company, and then you could wrap each one individually in plastic wrap. And then when you're ready to serve, just take them out and give everyone one. So enjoy, and until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com.